our guest tonight is TNA star Eli Drake. How you doing?
Well, let me talk to you. I'm doing pretty damn well here, I got to tell you, and enjoying this Southern California weather today. I don't know where you are or how it feels there, but rocking on a pretty solid 80 degrees right now, and I'm digging it.
I'm in Garbage Water, Northeast, where it's raining and cold as hell. So thank you for rubbing that in. No, also,
I don't even know how people can possibly voluntarily live there. I don't get that.
it's a haven. It's a center of activity. You know what I mean? New York City, Philadelphia region, everything's here. You know what I mean? You're over there with your beautiful sun and your beautiful weather, and we're over here with loads of people.
Yeah, loads of sometimes miserable people.
Yeah, well, you got three of them on the phone with you. I can't say your name without using my fingers. 1, 2, 3. Eli Drake now. So you've completely ruined me on that. On Tuesday night at Impact Wrestling's Lockdown event on Pop TV, you face off against Odarg the Great. What was the crowd like in the UK during the last tour, and what can fans expect from this battle?
Oh, fans in the UK were insane. And I mean that in the good way and the worst way. From the second when Odarg's music hit, these people go nuts. And the reason is because, look, as many idiots as there might be out there, everybody knows who it is. It's Grado. The guy was fired. He shouldn't be there, whatever. But the bottom line is this. That the fans over there absolutely passionate about what was going on, and it just made the room feel awesome. It was such an energy, and it was honestly my first cage match in 12 years of wrestling. Never had a cage match, believe it or not. This is my first one, and I'd say it was quite an experience.
Mike Chiari?
Well, during your time in TNA, you've already shown an ability to operate both as a heel and as a face. So for you, what's your personal preference in terms of what character you portray, and why do you tend to lean in that direction?
Well, it's funny, you know, when I look at Eli Drake, I don't necessarily see a bad guy, and I don't necessarily see a good guy. I just see a guy who kind of knows what he wants, and he gets it whatever way he needs to. So whether that's going to make people cheer me or boo me, for the most part, doesn't really make a difference to me. But a lot of times people don't like it. Too bad. But the bottom line is I like to be able to, voice my opinion the way that I want to. And that's been the beauty of being Eli Drake. And whether that makes me a heel or a good guy or whatever it is, I really can't say it. I prefer one way or the other.
BG?
I've been pulling for you to succeed since watching you on Hero with The Rock. And did The Rock give you any advice during that time? And did you take anything away from filming that show that has helped you succeed in wrestling since then?
That was just an awesome, crazy experience where I didn't necessarily get anything directly as far as, career pointers or anything like that, but we just had a very good chemistry, a back and forth on and off camera where, we'd kind of shoot jabs back and forth with each other and whatnot. Of course, if you ever got to the finale, he hit me with the "it doesn't matter," which was, crazy. It was something, that I watched in high school, and here the guy's hitting me with it. But it was great because there were some times where I would have the open forum to, again, in normal me fashion, to kind of spout what I was feeling and thinking at the war room table. And I remember when I was done, one of the guys who was part of Dwayne's crew, of The Rock's crew, pulled me aside afterwards, and he was like, "That was an incredible promo." He was like, that was like, I heard the first couple seconds of it. He was like, "This guy is just rocking it," and I was like, "Okay, great, this is awesome. These guys are putting me over great," and just his whole crew is just a solid group of people.
Well, it's been several months since TNA Impact Wrestling joined Pop TV. How has the locker room embraced the change, and what's the feeling backstage as the company continues to make improvements?
I think for the most part it's business as usual, but at the same time, I think there is a kind of a newfound, what do I want to say, like kind of like a newfound positivity in a sense, and not to say that it wasn't there before, but I think it's just grown to the sense where like there's a level of camaraderie, and where everybody's just having fun with what we're doing, and at the same time, I think we're putting on a pretty damn good show right now.
Mike Chiari?
Some fans may not realize that during your time wrestling in California, you were managed by Percy Pringle, or as some fans might know him, Paul Bear. He was obviously one of the greatest managers in wrestling history, no doubt. So for you, what was it like working with him, and what are some things that he taught you that you find yourself applying and using to make yourself better today?
Now you're talking about 4 years of this guy walking me to the ring. Championship Wrestling in Hollywood and a couple other small promotions on the West Coast. And just an immense wealth of knowledge comes from this guy, and great stories, funny, just the funniest stories, and goofy antics. Like, he was just a joy to have backstage. I can remember one of the most ridiculous things happened when one of the guys was trying to do a promo, a pre-tape segment, and here comes behind the camera, Percy drops his pants for his big, giant ass to be hanging out. The whole room just, popped for the whole thing. It was really funny just to have him around, and he was always more than willing to talk to the guys, give advice, things like that, and actually, even beyond willing, he was very thankful. I remember one time, I was venting some frustrations and kind of trying to figure out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, and he, gave me his own insight, and afterwards he was like so grateful, which I didn't expect. It's, a strange thing, but he was so grateful for the fact that I had sought him out for advice. And so, that's just something unspeakable of his character that you just can't even describe. It's incredible.
BG?
You're one of TNA's fresher talents, but you've been wrestling for well over a decade even before you got to TNA. For fans who don't know, could you give us some insight into how you started in the business and worked your way up to TNA?
Oh, yeah. Well, you're talking March 17th, 2003. I began training at Heartland Wrestling Association in Cincinnati, Ohio, even though I think Wikipedia and whatever else says I started in 2002 at like NWA Wildside or something. I don't think I ever worked there. But I started there in 2003, March 17th, and I remember it was the 1-year anniversary of, at the time, my favorite match, which, might get some guffaws from some people, but The Rock and Hulk Hogan, because you're talking about the favorite guy of my teenage years and the favorite guy of my childhood. So it wasn't necessarily planned that it was going to be that day, but it was like that was just when the money happened to line up, and I moved from Maryland to Cincinnati, Ohio at 20 years old. And so now that date is just stuck in my head. But from there, it was kind of like I was able to work up pretty quickly to where I had my first show within 3 months, which at the time was unheard of. Most of the guys that I started working with had been there for 2 years before they had the first match. And, then I was working with guys like Dean Ambrose, Sammy Callahan. We actually were a group called The Crew for a little bit. And then I think around 2009, I ended up moving out to Southern California, where I joined up with Mach 1 Wrestling. I just went down to the training, like a night of training. And Dave Marquez was there, and he was interested in my look and I guess the way I was moving around the ring and whatnot. And so he was like, okay, I think I'm going to pair up you and this other guy who's coming in, Brian Cage, who had just been released from FCW, WWE. So anyway, spent a few years then with him, and then they threw Percy in with us, and it was just, that was kind of where things picked up for me. Ohio wasn't that great to me other than just the training itself. But then you're talking about, a good 4 or so years there and about 4 or 5 years out here in California. The Championship Wrestling in Hollywood was like a godsend because it was a great product. It was a lot of fun to work. And you get to learn how to work TV, with the productions and the times and all that stuff. So it was really an incredible experience. Very thankful for it. And from there, I ended up in NXT for about a year. And when that came to an end, then I got the call for TNA.
Well, you've been in TNA now for a full year. How has the experience been thus far, and what are your long-term goals with the company now?
Well, I mean, the experience has been really like a dream in a sense. Like, I mean, it's been phenomenal to finally be recognized for my talents and to be on a worldwide stage where people can see me and what I do and what I say and all that. So it's really been incredible. And as far as my goals are concerned, the Eli Drake needs to be a household name any and everywhere it can be. And aside from that, I want to rack up championships. I want to be recognized as the best because that's exactly what I believe I am. So if that means King of the Mountain titles, if that means tag team titles, if that means world heavyweight titles, hell, I might even flip around and get an X Division title. I don't know. Whatever it is, I want to grab it up and I want to run with it.
Mike Uri?
Ethan Carter III is one of TNA's top guys currently, and I think it could be argued that there are some parallels between you and him in terms of being charismatic, maybe not being given a fair shake within WWE's developmental system. When you see a guy like EC3 get pushed to the moon and positioned as a face of TNA, what does that do for your confidence, and what kind of hope does that give you for your future in TNA?
Well, it gives me a lot of hope in one sense, but at the same time, it also, you can see the guy, he's good at what he does. And so, that it's not going to be a cakewalk at the same time. So I've got to prove myself, and I've got to prove to everybody that I am exactly what I think I am. And so it is encouraging, and it's also motivating.
PG, final question?
Well, you touched on the TNA championship earlier, and we always say that everyone's main focus should ultimately be on the championship. When do you think we'll see you inject yourself into the title scene?
Well, I mean, right now I'm walking around with that King of the Mountain title briefcase from Feast or Fired. Who knows when that could come up? Just got to pick the right moment as far as that's concerned. For the TNA heavyweight title, well, I mean, that's a matter of, again, proving to the brass at TNA that I deserve that shot. Now, if you ask me, I deserve that shot on day one, but, I got to get the other people to be on my side for that. So that's just a matter of time. But for right now, I think I gotta kind of figure out exactly when I'm going to work the plan for the King of the Mountain.
Well, a huge thank you to TNA star Eli Drake. Tell the fans where they can support you and Impact Wrestling, man.
Well, you can find me at Eli Drake TNA, both on Instagram and Twitter. I also I have a YouTube. I have two different YouTube pages. There's the I've got Impossible Castle. It's youtube.com/Impossible Castle. Unwrestling related. It's actually a lot of comedy sketches I've done, and it's a lot of fun over there. So definitely check that out. And yeah, you can also see me on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood every Saturday if you're in LA, or I think we're also on YouTube America. I don't know where that is, but bottom line is keep your eye on Impact Wrestling because that's the main event right there, 9 o'clock on Tuesdays.
Fantastic. Another huge thank you to Eli Drake. Good luck moving forward, sir.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.